I'd like to welcome everybody here today, and I'd like to introduce Dr. Heidi Schnackenberg. She's a professor in teacher education at SUNY Plattsburgh in Plattsburgh, New York, and she's been a longtime partner of the station, and we've done a lot of initiatives together. She specializes in educational technology. She currently teaches both undergraduate and graduate classes on the use of media to enhance teaching and learning in the P-12 classroom. Her various research interests include the integration of technology into pedagogical practices and the legal and ethical implications of Western technologies in non-Western and third world cultures. And I'd also like to introduce Eddie Vega. He's an adjunct professor in teacher education at SUNY Plattsburgh. He has a background in information and communication technology, mass communication, and digital media, and is working with undergraduate and graduate classes under educational technology. He has worked in the television, video, and film industries. His interests include merging new technologies with innovative methods in order to integrate both into the classroom environment. So thank you very much again, and I'll let Eddie take it away.
Hi there. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Okay. Everybody drive here safely? Good. All right. So let me first start off by asking you, does anyone here know or have used open source? No?
We have a nod at the back
Gentleman
and a
in the
hand.
back?
Yeah, terrific.
Oh, I have home and I am a Ubuntu Linux user.
Excellent.
An Ubuntu Linux user. Those are operating systems.
Mm-hmm. You guys seen the commercials? Hi, I'm a PC. Hi, I'm a Mac. There's this little guy in the middle that the camera never gets. He sits right in between them. He goes, hi, I'm Linux. This little guy jumping up and down. Okay? You know, everybody looks at it and goes, wait a minute, there's only 2 operating systems in the world. It's like, no, there isn't. If you look at the Linux world, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of operating systems. And a large portion of them are free to download. Okay? Not like they're going to download them now and they're going to charge you later. No, they're free for life. Mm-hmm. Some have opted to go the paying route, and you subscribe to them and you pay for them. But there are others, like the gentleman in the back says, he uses Ubuntu. Well, what you're looking at here, I'm running Ubuntu on this laptop. This is actually a dual boot laptop. This will ask me when I boot up, do I want to go to Windows or do I want to go to Linux? Well, the past couple of years, it's been Linux because the Windows side died. It won't even boot. I can access the files, I can access the hard drive, I can pull the stuff from the Windows side onto the Linux side and continue working. So.
We had one other hand up, Eddie. I'm curious as to what you, open source you've used.
I've used OpenOffice.
Ah, fabulous.
I haven't purchased the license.
Excellent.
In a long time.
Good for you.
For those who don't know, OpenOffice is the equivalent to Microsoft Office Suite, with a couple of extra bells and whistles in there that Microsoft doesn't have. OpenOffice has a program called Draw. It's kind of like Microsoft Paint on steroids. You can do pretty much some desktop publishing with this, automatically go to save as a PDF file, and it's yours. And you can send it out. The other cool program it has, I don't know if there's any math instructors in here, there's a program called Math. And what that allows you to do is to literally write out the mathematical formula the way it was meant to be written. Microsoft's got nothing on that one. Okay. A little FYI, the company that makes OpenOffice was just recently purchased by another company. So the future of OpenOffice has some people kind of nervous. Mm-hmm. So what they've done is they've splintered off, and now they have what's called LibreOffice. Libre is Latin or Spanish for free. Okay. To give you a quick check, this looks like OpenOffice, looks like Microsoft Office, the way it used to look. It's got the same bells and whistles. And like I said, right here, here's a little PDF button right there. automatically export your document as a PDF. This entire suite, free to download. And it's portable enough, you can download it to a jump drive, install it on your jump drive, and take it with you. Okay? Most of my students are now going with the OpenOffice, LibreOffice option and realizing that they're saving several $100s by going this route. As a college student, you guys have been college students yourselves, you know it can be pretty costly. Okay, nothing's changed there. Any questions?
What kind of file type is it saved as?
You have multiple options. Let me just call it right here. By default, when you go to Save As, let me call this window and pull this window over to your side. By default, it's going to give you their version of a document. Okay? So just go in here and select your format as a document, or we like to use rich text format. Because if you have Microsoft Works or Microsoft Word, same family, they don't speak to each other. Or if you have Corel Word, perfect. And some of our students have this compatibility issue. So by saving as an RTF, doesn't matter if you're running a Mac, Windows, Linux, doesn't matter which program you're running, every program can read this. This goes back to one of the original formats when we first started in computing.
The thing about rich text format or RTF is if you just have words on your page, if it's just strictly a Word document, saving it as rich text, it's only going to be a slightly bigger file, almost minuscule. If you have formatting, graphics, a lot of things that take a fair amount of encoding, your RTF file is going to be huge. So that would be a drawback to saving it as an RTF. But for most of us who are just word processing something, you might as well just save it as an RTF because then everyone can read it. So.
Okay. So all these options, the original program that started off the OpenOffice was the STAR programs. STAR is the equivalent. It's the equivalent of Microsoft, except this is something you pay for. So they decided, let's offer up another version where it's supported by the community, the global community at large. And that's where OpenOffice comes in. So right now I'm testing LibreOffice. It tells you right up here, LibreOffice. They have a little whiles to go. This is kind of like what OpenOffice used to be at version 1.5 or 2.0, but they're getting better. Okay?
So they also have a PowerPoint and
Yes,
Excel.
they do. I will show you right now. If I simply from this Word document, if I click New, I can easily select Spreadsheet. Spreadsheet opens up. Let me just minimize this and bring it over. Okay, look familiar to you guys? From the same program, I can open up the PowerPoint, which is presentation, or Impress. I can go through this wizard to get to create my presentation, or simply go to create.
For the spreadsheet, one thing that I'm actually not sure about is how well it imports into statistical programs like SPSS, for those of you who may do some statistical work. It would depend on the formats it's saved in. There's nothing about it that would say it wouldn't import as flawlessly as Excel does. Flawlessly, you know, being a word that sometimes doesn't happen, but I suspect it would import just as well as anything else into a statistical processing software. So.
And how you save here, again, you have the saving different format conventions. If I go up to Save As, that's their default program, the default format. And in here, again, save it for Windows. Then anyone who has Microsoft can then open up your presentation. Now, if I go to the other one, which should be right there. Here's the Excel spreadsheet. It's called Calc. I go to Save As. That's their default format. Go down here, and there it is. Windows Excel.
Yeah. when it would import.
Okay. Now, they all have this little PDF feature, which is really great. Because if you wanted to have this information available to people where they cannot edit your document, well, this is how simple it is. I go here, I click on it, it's already giving me the format, I just give it a name and select where I want to save it. That's it. Whenever you have something with a hyperlink that you want to link somewhere, it will automatically generate the link for you. Unlike Adobe Acrobat, where you have to create the layer, cover up the text, send that layer to target it to the specific URL, this does everything automatically. To give you an idea, the documents that you guys have in your hands, let me call my website over. This is my faculty website. Okay, so under education, scroll down to workshops, brings you to this workshops page, which is what we're having here today. The documents are right here in PDF format. And the links that you see in your documents are active links in the PDF. I didn't do anything. I just saved as a PDF format, gave it a name, automatically the links are hot. Very convenient. So what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly here. And there's other things, you know, like how many people here use Photoshop? Okay. Photoshop is a dynamite program, okay? With all the bells and whistles, that's going to set you back about $1,000. Academic discounts, we might get the full-blown version, okay, all the bells and whistles, for about $280. Right? There's a free version of that. I don't like the name of this program. Okay, but I'm going to show you what it is. Let me go back here. Here's one of the windows. Here are my tools. And the third column is right over here. This is called GIMP. Okay, now I've never seen an acronym within an acronym, but this is, you're all witnessing this right now. It's GNU Image Manipulation Program. And GNU itself is an acronym, which something, I can't remember what it is. So this is as powerful as Photoshop, and here's why. When you save a file as a Photoshop file, you save it as a PSD file. So later on, 1,000,000 years from now, you can come back and open up and work with those individual layers. Whenever we do anything in Photoshop, anything that's graphical, we work in layers. This allows me to open up PSD files and reveal all those layers. Now I can go in and continue working. So imagine if I'm a school teacher and I'm teaching something with graphic design and I'm using Photoshop. Can you imagine the conversations that these kids would have? Mommy, I got to help buy some software. Well, how much is it? It's $1,000. You can expect a very nasty phone call the following day. Okay? Whereas this, it's a free download. This is available for Windows, Mac, Linux, and I think Solaris, which is another operating system all its own. Okay? And again, filing conventions. File. I don't have anything up, so let's see. Okay, I got something to open up. Let me go to my desktop. Okay, there's Darth Vader. Okay, no, I did not create this. I thought it was cool. This will be my new desktop. So if I wanted to save this, I go up to Save As. Let me pull that window over. Now, here are all my file conventions in alphabetical order. There's GIF. There's JPEG. I can save an an icon for Windows. Where's my mouse? Okay. There's the Photoshop, the PSD files I was telling you about. So you can save from GIMP and then go back to Photoshop and continue working in Photoshop. There's PNG. So it has all the popular ones. There's Targa. And of course, TIFF. Even bitmap. So as you can see, this is a very powerful piece of software. And it works with Wacom tablets. Okay. Okay, so let me go back. If I, for some reason, go too fast or I wasn't clear on something, please let me know. Okay. Now, this presentation was done several times for a couple of different workshops. In this case, we were doing a modeling, a business model type. So we were talking about this earlier, how you can take the budget that you had for commercially produced software or closed source software and use those funds elsewhere. Not lose any employees, perhaps, which is always nice, and go with the open source model. Okay. These are some of the topics that we covered. The one thing I didn't have on here was communication, but I'm going to talk to you about that. How many people use Outlook Express?
For an email client?
Email clients? Okay. Well, an alternative to that would be Thunderbird. Thunderbird from Mozilla is the sister program to Mozilla Firefox. You can bring in your clients. You can set your filters. So if anything is in the subject that might be questionable, eliminate it, delete it. Don't even let me see it. Don't even send it to spam. Just get rid of it. So you can literally filter your emails as they come in. Okay. Another piece of communication technology we're using is Skype. But if you've used Skype in an educational environment, you'll notice that Skype is kind of a band hog. So for a while, we were using DimDim. DimDim allows you to do create a virtual classroom, a virtual office, lock in that time frame. So I will be in my virtual office from, say, 4 to 6 p.m. Up to 20 people, I believe, with webcams can simply log in and we can have a discussion. I can share my desktop. There's a lot of things that I can do with this. It will even send out reminders. By the way, don't forget, you have a meeting at 4 o'clock online. You know, so DimDim was great. I do not know the status of DimDim at this point because they were just purchased by another company. So I have no idea if we're going to continue having this free service or if it's going to be assimilated into that corporation. But keep your eyes and ears open. Like I said, because you lock in that time frame, that bandwidth is yours. I have never had a drop phone call or video conference for that matter. Okay, and I've done it from Plattsburgh to Potsdam. Mm-hmm. You know, so if you guys are familiar with that route to Potsdam, you know, you figured you might get some drop calls, or if you're using Skype, something like at the 1 hour mark, it kind of starts to get choppy. So, but now Skype is getting a little better in the fact that you can share your desktops. You can show people, this is what I'm doing, and just click show, and they can see what you have on your computer. So they're getting a little better, but they still have to work on the bandwidth issue. All right, so as far as communications, that takes care of that one. Here we have an Office suite. Now, I did this in 2008, I think I used this. That's why you see Professional 2007. This was the cost back then. OpenOffice doesn't cost you anything. These are the additional programs. The graphic design suite, this is the full version, the full price, at least at the time, of what you would be paying for those two programs. With your academic discounts, it brings it down significantly, but still pretty pricey. When you don't have $5 in your pocket, $5 becomes too much. And here's the open source stuff. $0. Priceless. A business suite. Okay. This is the open source stuff. Planner would be the equivalent of project. An animation suite. This is always my favorite. You always have those students in the classroom who say, I want to build video games. Yeah. I want to do 3D animation. I want to work in special effects. Well, the price for that, as you can see, here's a full package for one computer. Okay? So imagine if you have a room full of like 30 computers, that's pretty pricey. Then you have to talk about the updates, the upgrades, the maintaining. Oh, a new version comes out. So how can you stay on the cutting edge of technology without bleeding the wallet dry? Because when you're on the cutting edge, somebody always bleeds. That's a fact. That's a given. So if I gave you $11,000 right now, you would not be buying software.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Not with today's budgets. No,
No,
that's not where that money would go.
That money would not go to buying software. However, here's an animation suite. Okay, Blender was used, if you've seen the movie Titanic, James Cameron's Titanic, okay, it was used on there. It was used in scenes of the third Spider-Man movie. Okay, it's good enough for Hollywood. It's good enough for us. Okay, that's a 3D program that allows you to do 3D modeling, 3D animation. It has a game engine built right into it, so you can design video games with virtually little or no programming. The programming that you would use behind it is Python. And Python, it's pretty much like the English language. Get this from here and execute. It also has most people don't know, has a built-in high-definition video editor with unlimited tracks. So you can edit high-definition video, bring it in, decide on a track. It has some built-in effects on it. So add the effects. Almost like it could very well be an After Effects equivalent. But After Effects is dedicated solely to producing effects. To give you an idea real quick, let's see, do I have it there? No. Here we go. This is the beta version of Blender. Let me see if I can just get out of this. There we go. Here's the interface. Now, I'm familiar with the version before this, 2.49b. I'm also certified in that. Now, looking at this, it's a completely different animal. Like, I have to go back to school and learn this. But it is very powerful. It's being done. It's being used. Like I said, they used it in Hollywood. It's good enough for us. Okay.
Can you flip back to the price slide? Mm-hmm. Or the non-price slide?
The non-price slide?
I think this point is particularly powerful when you go to animation and 3D softwares. And when we talk about kids and schools, often kids who are interested in these things don't have an outlet anywhere else in schools. They may not care for the academics, math, social studies, foreign languages. They may not be into music, band, choir. They may not be into the athletics program, school newspaper. We have a lot of things that capture kids with a lot of interest, but because of the marketed programs that are animation and 3D, et cetera, we often don't have those in schools. So kids who have these interests, real passion for this, don't get a place in the academic setting to really nurture that skill, that passion in a creative environment with a mentor, with a teacher or a few teachers. Having things like these available, especially when they're used in the real world, right? Kids are all about the real world. And when we can say that Blender has been used in movies that you see in the theater, we can get this kind of thing, assuming that we have the hardware to run it, which is maybe a place where you want to put some of the money that the software would save you. But by having the software for free, we may be able to capture a whole set of kids in schools that otherwise didn't find anything that attended to what they liked in school previously. So this is a really, really powerful piece, at least for me, looking at the education setting. So, and I guess that can cross all of what we're saying, but this particularly, because the cost for these types of softwares you know, the kind that are mass marketed is absolutely prohibitive. It's just unbelievable. So these programs are actually some of my favorites for that reason.
This is a great way to encourage that kid in the class who wants to do this, to get into computer science, to get into the media and the arts without shooting their dreams down. Before, it was like, the kid is interested, but you know what? You can't afford the software. I'm not going to buy you the software. We're not getting the software. So what do? Well, this is a great alternative, and it can be done. If you go to Google and you can type in open source games, you can see that there are video games being designed and developed with the open source market.
And to play off of that a little bit more, I would have said this previously, but this just came to me, the idea of, you know, if we can hook the kids and say these things are here for you, with the guidance of a teacher, a good teacher can say, do you know how much math is used in Blender? There's a lot of scientific principles used in animation and 3D software. You have to look at angles, you have to look at pitch, yaw, you know. So to bring the academics into there so that when the kid finally does go to science class or does go to math class again, they'll sit there and go, okay, maybe I do need to pay attention and understand this so I can use my software better. I mean, that's how we hook kids half the time. Musicians, well, you know, there's a lot of math and music, so you should listen in your math classes. So that's another piece where it's important to have this in school so the teacher can guide the kids to look at the academic principles behind the things that they love.
Now, processing is somewhat of an equivalent, but not quite there yet, towards Flash. Whereas Flash can do animation, and you can do things with Flash, this is a little bit more trickier, but it gets the kids to think in logical terms, in algorithm terms, because what they code is what's going to appear on the screen. Synfig is the other side of Flash that allows you to create 2D animation with a timeline. So if you wanted to learn this on your own and try it out, most of us are already on YouTube. So if you type in the name of the software and the word tutorial right afterwards, look at this, somebody's created the tutorial for you. May not be the best tutorial for you, and some of them may sound like some kid in a squeaky voice that might be too long for what you wanted, but it's something. It's a great start, okay? I don't want to sound like this is a plug-in for any professional development, but we can do professional development here. You wanted to do it on your own. There are websites that are professionally based. Instructors are professionals. You sign up, you take an online program. It may take you, like Blender is a 10-hour video course, and you get certified at the end. Does the certification mean much? Well, it means that you did professional development on your time, and you put that in your review folder. It's like, see, I'm certified to do this.
What's really interesting about this is kids and I guess to an extent young adults have figured out that this is the way that they teach each other things. This is the way they communicate, through YouTube, through video outlets. Gen Y, Gen Z. It's interesting that educators, we're now starting to understand that through the video media like YouTube, we can learn things, we can teach each other things. As Eddie said, young kids are all over that. They'll teach each other everything from how to, here's a trick in Blender to learn, to, as you all have probably heard, hey, here's my latest music video, look at me, make me famous.
Oh yeah.
So the younger generations are all over that sort of video media, and they don't particularly care how they look. They've got a webcam, it doesn't matter. I'm sitting here in my ripped sweatshirt, it's good, I can teach you stuff. So it's a very interesting thing that has developed with the advent of Web 2.0. It's that sort of thing where I think if you look at us, we're a little bit more hesitant. You know, I mean, how many of us would put a webcam on, go on in a ripped sweatshirt, you know, you got dinner on your shirt and go, hey, I can teach you how to use Excel, let's do it, you know. So it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting generational thing, I think, as an aside.
What age would you, is it a middle school thing? Is it high school? Like, I guess what I'm looking for a judgment.
For Blender,
Yeah.
if they're really into it and you want to show them the basics, you can start off at the higher end on the junior high school side. There are some things that you'll have to right click on. There's some things that you have to drag because you have this set of components and you want this to go and connect with this set. Literally, you connect and a line draws from one component to the next, connecting the two. So there's no programming. But then you can take it a step further. You can actually open it up and show them where the programming lies. I'm going to see if we have time later on. I'm going to show you a little something that I had put together in Blender. Okay, so hopefully, if it all works out, I'll show you that.
You know, speaking mainly just as a mother of a 15-year-old who, their world is so different than my world. And he will, like beta, a beta game. I had no idea what this was until Christmas time when this new game came out. And he said, well, this is the beta version. Well, what the heck is a beta version? You know, so I'm looking at this. And then everyone in the whole family is on this site downloading this beta version, and we're jailbreaking this iPod, and I'm wondering what that, and I'm looking at this, and a whole generation of these children, this is their world. They are creating their own reality, and not even a reality, it's their world, and they manipulate it. And this is an amazing thing. I do agree that if you could get this in the hands of that age group at the time when they're in that window, it was really amazing, at a cost. Of nothing.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
The most that you have to worry about this is hardware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Video card capabilities, RAM. Now I think I saw something for like 6 gigs of RAM. I'm like, really? I want that thing to be able to turn on before I touch it. It's fast, it's powerful, it can do things. I'm like, wow, nice.
Make me a cup
shiny.
of coffee while I'm sitting at the computer.
There you go, we're wired in.
That's right.
You know,
The hardware, at least you have your hands on something as a parent. You can say, oh, okay, well, I see I bought this. This is good. Oh, that's true.
this, a terabyte hard drive,
That's what I've been hearing about.
portable, on the go. I'm like, seriously? Wow. Okay. You know, I mean, on my desk, I've got these huge terabyte drives that we're not playing. This is some serious hardware. Like, and that's the same thing. So it's becoming compressed. It's becoming portable. We're on the go. Computers are becoming, you know, lightweight. Now everybody's got an iPad. I'm like, really? I don't know about that. Everybody's getting smaller, and Apple decides to go bigger. I don't know, but you know. But it seems to be working because it's launched. I think by the end of this month, we're going to have something like 28 different versions of tablets available. Too much. You know, even for us who are techies, even for us to stay on top of all this, it gets a little difficult sometimes. All right, so I'm going to move along here. Publishing. This is always a favorite. People use InDesign. Some people use Microsoft Publisher. Photoshop is always in there. Illustrator is always in there. Here's a nice publishing suite price tag. Okay. Now, the equivalent to this in the open source market, okay, and I use Scribus for pretty much anything. If I'm going to create a manual, you know, like the stuff that you have here in your hands, may I borrow this one for a second? Just this top one. This one right here has the outline for this workshop. And if you open this up, okay, so 2-column little newsletter type of menu. I call this my foos. menu, descriptions and links. And again, the option to go to PDF and then send it to print. Okay, thank you very much. So all of this software that you see up here should be in that little packet. So you get to see what is it. There's also some extra bells and whistles in there that did not make the presentation. Editing. Our guys, our crew here can appreciate this. They recognize some of this stuff. Adobe Premiere, it's a video editing software from Adobe. Final Cut Pro is now strictly for the Mac. Avid Media Composer, it's dual systems. Okay. I don't have a total price tag at the bottom because they run on independent operating systems. But look at the price tags alone. And I think on the Avid, that's probably on the extreme low end side. That's the low end on the software side. Avid also has hardware-based editing because there's two types of rendering when it comes to rendering video. It's either software-based or hardware-based. And here we're just talking software. This is all software. To show you how old this particular slide is, Josh Shaka has changed their name. It's now called Cinefx. C-I-N-E-F-X. And we even have a few more types of video editors. And one of them I have up here. Let me show you real quick.
Can you do JCOT? It's my favorite.
I know that's your favorite.
Well, because it's run through the web.
Of course.
Don't even have to download it.
Wait, can you wait a minute?
It's a common shtick.
Okay. This is called KdenLive. Okay. This has been referred to as the equivalent to Sony Vegas Pro. You can zoom in on video. You can pan across video. You can do pretty much everything that you can do with Final Cut or Adobe Premiere. In some cases, earlier versions of Avid. It's available for Mac. It's available on Linux. And to play it on a PC, the way they suggest you do it is to boot up from the disk that it comes on. It comes on a disk with the operating system. You boot up from the disk. Don't install anything. You work, you edit. You're able to save your files to your hard drive. When you're done, you close out, eject the disk, and now you have a finished piece. Another cool little feature here. Does anyone here have, I hate to call it old, but the camcorders that have the mini DVs? Okay.
Isn't that sad to call that old?
I know.
I can't do that. It doesn't feel old.
So well, here's the thing.
I know where you're going.
Using this open source technology, we can bring old technology back to life and give it a second life. Here's why. And I was going to set it up here. I brought the camera, but I wasn't sure about the setup. Taking a mini DV camera with FireWire to my laptop. So there's no tape in the camera. Running it through this video editing, I can actually capture live video, send it directly to my hard drive. Because that is a terabyte, I will have more than an hour's worth of footage. So no longer do we have to go buy the mini tapes. We can use the camera as is. We have computers. Imagine using these cameras in the classroom. If we have 2 or 3 of them, we have 2 or 3 camera people all hooked up to their computers. Each one is manning their camera. They can zoom in, zoom out. We can pan left, pan right, tilt up, tilt down. We can do so many different things with the camera. It's being captured. It's being recorded. It will save the video file as a .dv. You can then instantly open that file up, drop it right into the timeline, begin editing. The video footage is, the video footage is already being digitized. So it's going directly to here. So there's no conversion factor of tape to digital. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, the obvious limiting piece with that sort of setup is limited motion, right? You can only move as far as your firewall will let you. But with kids in schools and teachers, it's all a matter of creativity, you know? And the upside to that, which feels like it outweighs that particular downside of limited range of motion, is that you've revitalized old hardware. How cool is that? You know, because these cameras previously, I mean, to watch those mini DVs, you basically had to watch them in the camera or hook it up to a TV. Now, what teacher's going to do that? Only the brave and the bold, I'm telling you. Because it's really hard, you know. I mean, the nice thing about having it immediately digitized with some of the newer cameras is that you can watch it right away in something other than the camera. Well, this way, you've taken that old hardware and you've given it yet another use. So for a teacher, you know, this is stuff that's probably in a closet right now, you know. So you can just gather it up, blow the dust off. Nobody else is going to want it. And with some creativity, you know, your knowledge of your curriculum, you've suddenly got yourself a new project for kids to do that integrates technology into the curriculum in a way that not only revitalizes the tech, but also because of the teacher's knowledge of what, you know, they're doing in the curriculum, it also enhances the learning process. And once again, you might be able to capture some of those kids into some content or some topics or some meaningful learning that before just would have said, hey, I'm not doing another worksheet and you're not making me. So, you know, that's another piece that the open source things help to do.
Yes.
Do you have a way of getting those old tapes digitized? Is there a free or an easy way, I guess?
Free. Okay.
Well,
that's a four-letter word, isn't it?
the only thing that we've come up with is just hooking it up to something that can actually go from the camera directly to a DVD-R. And like Sony has a little portable one that you don't need the computer for. You just wire in from your camera to this, burn the disc. You know, that's about the only thing that we have right now. That's the other thing. You know, they are working on the idea of open source hardware, so that can handle video capabilities, that can handle audio. We have lots of musicians, you know, but they spend a fortune. It's a small fortune to keep up with studio technology or, you know, almost studio technology. So they're working on that concept. Okay, so here you have Cam Studio. I use Cam Studio with my students. My graduate students are creating 3D animated movies, 15, 30 seconds long, up to a minute in length. They're using a program called Alice. Alice is Carnegie Mellon University?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It is.
Still is.
Yeah.
So they have this type of format that no one can actually read unless you have Alice installed on your computer. So what we've done is we're using Cam Studio to screen capture the actual animation as it's playing out. So now we have this raw video clip. Then what we do is we use a video editor to edit, fade in from black, fade out to black, add titles, add transitions, add a soundtrack. Now, the software that we're using, and you guys will like this, because regardless of what software, whatever platform you use, this is regardless. Let me pull this over. We're using JCut. Now, not necessarily open source as much as it's just free. You go in, you open up an account. Here's what the desktop will look like. This plays out in the browser. So regardless if you're a Mac or a PC or a Linux, you upload your video footage to your account. You'll have various tabs at the top where you can import multiple videos, photos, sound bites. You have transitions, you have text, you have 2 video tracks as opposed to 1. How many people use Windows Movie Maker? How many people use iMovie? The same thing, you have that 1 track, right? Okay. Here you have 2. And I'm going to go up to the screen to point out a couple of things here. This is your text track. Anything in that tab, you can create your text, and your titles will be dragged and dropped in this track here. You have video tracks, so you can have multiple video clips. This is your transition to go from one clip to the next. And then you have one audio track. Now get this. If the video clip is imported already has audio, you can still use that audio from your clip. You can even lower it or fade it out completely. Pretty powerful stuff here. At the end, it's going to ask you to publish your movie. And you have multiple options in formats, whether it's a QuickTime movie, DivX, or Flash. You can choose to publish your movie and download it back to your computer and burn it later, or you can opt to upload it to something like YouTube. So you have multiple options, cross-platform. We're using this in the classroom to bring in our raw footage of our animation and then edit and add sound and fade it and fade to black. So now we have a polished version of our animation, which we can then swap back and forth, share it with each other, or put it on our own personal websites. Regardless, again, of platform, the playing field is now leveled. Yes?
Can you save it and come back to it later?
She said, the question was, can you save it and come back later? The answer is yes. You have an account. You go onto jcut.com, you create an account. So you can save it, come back and edit later. You can keep it up there for as long as you need. Okay? Now when you go to upload, if you want to upload to say YouTube, you need to first create an account on YouTube, have your own channel, so to speak, where then you have something to upload to.
I particularly love this software, and I used it in my graduate class, so prospective teachers, future teachers. And what the assignment was to have them use video in their curriculum and create an assignment that they would have their own students do. So in other words, they're going through the experience that they would have their students go through the experience of. And you know, my class is everything from future LED teachers to future bio teachers to future, you know, high school, elementary, the works. So a variety of curriculum. So I said, you choose whichever part of your content you want to do, but I want you to create something that would, how video would enhance your curriculum. And it was so neat for them. And of course, the range of technology ability in that kind of class is everything from, you know, the ridiculous to the sublime. I mean, I have uber techies who far outpace me and, you know, can rival Eddie a little bit. It's close. He's pretty uber techie. You know, to complete novices. And this saves so many steps, as you've heard. It saves sometimes the frustrating download step, right? That's enough to turn you off right there, oftentimes. I mean, you just walk away. It also saves the idea of you can download it to your computer, you can directly publish it to YouTube if that's where you want it to be. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 steps on either end saved. And it's actually, I mean, as far as interfaces go, it's not all that scary. And it's so interesting because even my novice students would use this and they'd want to do things and they'd find that it was limiting. Why can't I do this? Well, the software is basic. It's not going to let you do that. Oh, but I want to do more. Well, that means we need to learn something more complex. So right there, they've just upped their skill level or their desire to have more skills. So it's really interesting. So by having my future teachers go through that, then they'll know what their students are going to encounter if they do this kind of lesson. So
let me ask you guys a question. Does anyone here not understand the term Web 2.0? Okay.
Brave souls. Good. I thought you're
enough.
not going to get answers to that question.
Fair enough. Web 2.0, in a basic understanding of what Web 2.0 is, websites that behave like software. Websites which allow you to do things online, collaborate online, to share online. So the concept of what Web 2.0 is, more and more websites are becoming like software that allow you to do things, like PhotoBucket. If you've ever used PhotoBucket, it's just like that. This is a video editor. It allows you to do stuff like this. I also have websites for audio, for the audio aficionado where they can go online and create and compose. And they have all this outboard gear in virtual space and then save it in the cloud and share it with others. So there's the social networking aspect to all of this. So Web 2.0, you're looking at it. It's right there.
It's added the communication piece, not just with the technology itself, instead of sort of a flat interface, it's also added the communication between the users. So when we talk about more of a global society, this has really sort of pushed that envelope. So that's the huge piece that makes Web 2.0 different. And it's interesting because as I stand here, I wonder if the open source community has kind of pushed the idea of Web 2.0, or if it went the other way, or if it was both together. Because that is the Web 2.0, the open source community. I mean, it's
everything feeds off of each other. You know, open source feeds on the fact that the closed source community is so pricey and out of reach. Therefore, the digital divide gets wider and wider, where then the open source comes in and says, well, let's close the gap and make it available towards everyone. So it's always a give and pull. They all feed off of each other.
Yeah, but who is in the open source community? The folks from the closed source community. Who's writing those open source softwares? The same guys who work for Microsoft and Google and Facebook. Shh. Who else could it be? It truly is. I'm not making up stories, but they'll do these things in their spare time, and then they'll just put it out there on the web. Hey, I've got this new 3D animation software. See what you think. Debug it. Go for it. That's really what happens. So it's the community that creates and perfects these things. And you go to blogs, you go to discussion boards, you get on, in any sort of networking community about, say, even Open Office. I want to do this. How do I do it? There's somebody out there who's going to answer you that knows how to do it. It's more of a community. It's community knowledge sharing, which was really the inception of the internet. It predicated the .com boom and bust. It was an open sharing of information. That's what it was intended to be when it was first developed. So it's really intriguing to me that it's going full circle. It's going back there again. So
you guys like?
Is there something you can show us that you've done on this? Or clip?
Or even those little crayons. What do they know?
Well, if you notice those crayons, if you notice these crayons, that's a bullet flying through them, okay?
So folks want to see something that Eddie's made. That was the question.
I know, and I can't remember what my password is.
Would you like to show your Blender clip now? Or he can show, well, Eddie's made stuff in a lot of this, so well, Eddie's getting his file ready. To give commercial products their due, many of the open source softwares, frankly, are just as good or better, depending on what you're working in. Like GIMP to Photoshop, that's really close. I mean, you're getting used to a new interface with GIMP, but it's still powerful. When you think about web development softwares and graphical user interfaces, we struggle consistently to find a web development software that has a graphical interface that is as good as a commercial product. We use this with our students all the time, and it is very hard. Conversely, there are free interfaces on the web for educators or for anybody that can help you create a pretty snazzy looking website. Again, it's got its limitations. You won't be able to do everything you want, but through those interfaces you can create something that's interesting. For our money, we'd rather have somebody create from scratch and just give them that availability, but so it just depends on what the open source software is. So.
Well, I'm going to see if this works.
All right.
Okay, no guarantees. Sorry. See. There it goes. This is Blender. It's flying over the city. That's the intro. And then the game begins. It is difficult to look at the screen over on that end while I'm hitting the keys over here.
Gamers would be proud. That's not bad.
So, just a really basic model of a game. It's like, oh, there it goes, next level. All created in Blender, almost no coding. Almost, because I have to figure out Python. This is awkward.
Now, would you say you had to use math to be able to do that?
Lots of math.
Would you say you had to be able to use some science, maybe some physical principles?
Lots of science. Like, for example, in this aspect right here, my processors slow down when I open up with double barrels.
Now, Eddie, do you like math?
Not at all.
Now, Eddie, do you like science or physics?
Science, yes.
Okay. Eddie, did you like creating this game?
It was a blast, but it was frustrating as all get out. I'm not going to lie to you. This was atrocious. And the worst part about it was I started this on Windows, in the Windows version of Blender. And then Windows conked out, corrupting my files. Couldn't open them on a Mac, couldn't open them on a PC, couldn't open them on Linux. It was like, okay, I'm on the clock here. I've just got a few weeks left. What do I do? Well, guess what? The open source stuff, it's free. It's there. It's in my face. I've got access to the internet. Download it really quickly. Let's get into this thing. Now, I need to know a few other things. Like, well, how do I import backgrounds and images and stuff like that? Well, YouTube was my best friend. Go onto YouTube. How do I do this? Just type it into YouTube. How do I do this in Blender? How do I do this in any software? And then just follow the tutorials. Okay? The community's out there to help you. And you'd be surprised where the help comes from. I've actually had help from a little 14-year-old kid. It was like, okay, great. You know, it's funny because when
Isn't it bedtime?
yeah, you know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. What's he doing up? You know,
Sorry.
But you know, to be honest with you, it was a 12-year-old kid when I first came to Plattsburgh who showed me how to crack software. You know, a 12-year-old kid. I don't know about you, but when I was 12, I'm thinking about, you know, lunch, gym, and how much trouble can I get into? And here's a 12-year-old kid who knows how to crack software. I've had students use this program to create 3D molecules in motion. This program, Stellarium. My son loves this thing. We see stars, we see constellations in the sky. Well, what are they? Well, let's open up this. It works in real time with my computer's clock. Now we can see the nighttime sky and call everything up.
When you go home, you have to Google Stellarium and look at that program. It is fabulous. It's so interesting. You can look at the night sky right outside your window.
Yeah.
Zoom in on a planet. It's really neat.
And here's the thing. You would think that it's just like a little JPEG of Jupiter, right? Okay, it's just a picture of Jupiter, which big deal. Yeah, leave it up there long enough, leave the room and come back, and you'll notice the red dot on Jupiter has moved. Go out, do something else, come back, and it's moved some more. And it keeps moving. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there are numbers that are moving, that are calculating, because this is in motion. Okay? The little penguin down there is the logo for Linux. So that is Tux Paint. Imagine, if you will, Photoshop for babies. My son is 3.5 years old. He can maneuver the mouse. He can click on things, icons, pictures, stamps, shapes. They make a nice little noise, musical instruments when the mouse goes over it. So keep the speakers on. When you're playing with Tux Paint, you'll have a blast. Okay, so all of this entire education suite, priceless. Has anybody here used Geometer Sketchpad? You've used it? The free open source equivalent to that, GeoGebra. My students who are math concentrations love GeoGebra. It's free. You don't have license for it. Take it anywhere.
The downside to open source is it's bought by another corporation, and
it could be. Which,
let me repeat the question.
Yes.
The question was, is the downside to open source that the good programs get bought by corporations?
Sometimes
yes,
that possibility does exist.
Sure, sure.
That possibility does exist. But we take a chance. Like right now, the future of open office, we're a little concerned with this, which is why the Document Foundation or Documentation Foundation was formed with LibreOffice in the event that Oracle decides we're going to eliminate this. What happened was Oracle large company, bought this other large company called Sun Microsystems. Sun Microsystems makes the Star Office package, which you buy, but they also make the free version, which is Open Office. So Oracle might say, you guys aren't making any money for us. We may just cut you. Bye. So that's where LibreOffice comes in, so they can continue supporting the free stuff.
There are interesting arguments to that, and I think about this a lot because, you know, as we talk to people in the technology community, you get a lot of this, and you know, folks will say exactly as you did. You know, there's the transient nature to open source software. It changes. Sometimes it has bugs. Well, commercial products change all the time, and we pay for those upgrades.
We pay for the bugs.
Yeah, exactly. We knowingly buy bugged software. You know, you read the web. Oh, this next version of, you know, whatever, you know, 7.0 has a bug. And then the next thing we do is go to Staples and get it. It's craziness, you know, but people don't want to do that with open source. Why? It's free, you know, you don't like it, doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time, which a bugged commercial product is going to cost you as well. I think another argument that you often hear, and I can see a bit more validity to this, is that when you buy commercial products, often you're buying the ability to call their helpline. And with open source, there are no helplines. There's internet communities of folks who are more than willing to help, even sometimes willing to do some recoding to figure out your problem for you. But there's not a place to pick up the phone. But my response to that as I think about it over time is, how helpful are those helplines? How many of us have slammed down the phone going, seriously?
So the open source community, you know what? I can cross-reference the same information I find on this website. Can I correlate that with this? Has the same thing been found somewhere else? Then it's possibly a very solid solution. If other people have had the same response, same answers to the same problem on different websites, you know what? That's probably a very solid answer. I'm going to try that out. And chances are it does work.
And for my money, when we think about schools and districts and even higher ed, if we ever get money back in some form in a budget, I'd always prefer to buy products like this for free and to take whatever budgeted money has been there. And of course, you're going to need to spend on hardware, but invest in people. Invest in people that have the knowledge to help. So instead of calling a helpline with an individual that you don't know in a location is location, but you could walk down the hall and say, you know what, Eddie, I know him. He can figure this stuff out, and he's a person to me, and he knows me, and he might even know a little bit about me, so he'll know where to start to speak to me. You know, he won't condescend to me, and he'll know when he's going over my head. So for my money, it's more worthwhile to invest in people when we talk about education, human knowledge, human capital. I think that's also, again, that also plays very into the open source philosophy. But boy, oh boy, you know, when you talk about education, that's where it's at to me. So.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pretty much wrap it up right there. If you guys need to get in touch with me, here's my email. This is at the college campus. The one thing I request is that please identify who you are in the subject heading. You know, tell me from what school you're in, or, you know, from this workshop, because a blank subject, my email automatically deletes blanks. You know, I kid you not. I tell that to my students all the time, who they ask me, well, did you get my email? It's like, no, should I? I sent you an email. Was there anything in the subject? No. Like, I didn't get it. I use Thunderbird. It says anything that's blank, delete. You know, I like people to identify who they are. You know, that way I know this is something that I should address, I should look into. This person probably needs my help for, or has some questions or concerns. If it's blank, I don't know you. Can't read anything, so bye. I'm not going to jeopardize my computer system or anyone else's computer system by opening up something that looks a little suspicious.
You want to put my website up there?
Yep.
Eddie's going to put my faculty website up there if you want to find me and chat a little bit about educational technology. I'd always love to talk to anybody. It's so interesting just to sort of play with ideas.
Okay.
It's fun.
Here's Doc's website.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, my last name's huge, so
biggest name in the
business.
business.
Go on the website, get the email, copy, paste.
Yeah. Biggest name in the business. Actually, her email is at the bottom of the menu. My website is right here. Okay.
What is on this?
The question is, what's on the DVDs that we passed out? Goodies.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. On these discs, okay, there is both PC and Mac versions of a lot of the software that you guys see here. This is my website, but you also have all the freebies here. Okay, there's Inkscape, there's Blender, there's GIMP, LMMS. If you've ever used a program like Sony Acid or Fruity Loops or anything to that extent, this is the equivalent, and it's a freebie. This is a media player. There's OpenOffice, Pencil, 2D drawing, Scribus, another media player, and so on and so on. So this is a DVD. I try to pack as much of that software already on here for both platforms. Okay, so you go to, say, audio and music, select your platform, PC or Mac, and you'll have the program already here. Okay? And for those who I wasn't able to get a disc for, like I said, it's right here. Let me scroll down, I'll show you. You have more goodies up here than on the disc. Oh, there we go.
There's some more on the table, Eddie. Is that meant for passing out?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Terrific.
excellent. So, but you still have more than what the disc can hold. Because here you have Audacity, there's Tux Paint, Stellarium. This is Burn for the Macs. So this allows you to burn your CDs and DVDs. Here you have Cam Studio, which is screen capture for the PC, but Copernicus works on the Mac. FileZilla, there's Paint.net.
And we can pass your website on to some of our techie people at school?
Yes, by all means.
The question was, can Eddie's website, which is full of all these resources, be passed on to technology people at schools? Absolutely. Pass it on to anyone you think would be interested.
Here you have LibreOffice. Movida is a multimedia type of program that will manage your videos on your computer, your photos, and all of that, and music right in there. Red Dwarf, that's for the server. There's a calendar from the Mozilla guys. There's Thunderbird, an email client from the Mozilla guys. This is Amarok. If you like iTunes, you might like this. Songbird, another one to manage your, these both will manage your music files. This allows you to create DVDs. And if you're a DJ or musician, mix music live. Another thing that I've added to this is right up here, you'll see a link that says open source. And there's more goodies in here. So feel free, and I'm constantly updating this.
And that's not an Eddie Vega acronym, by the way. FOOS, Free Open Source Software. That's the actual acronym for that. So.
To give you an idea, it's FOOS, but there's also FLOSS. Because it's not just free open source software, it's free, in parentheses, and legal open source software, which means you can copy the software, burn it to a disk, give it to your friends, share it online through peer-to-peer file sharing, sell it if you want to.
And if you've got the chops, you can change it.
Yes, and make it your own.
And redistribute it. So it's kind of neat.
Okay. So
feeling a little like Oprah giving out the goodies to the studio audience.
Yes, and under
there's
your
no
chairs.
cars in the back. There's nothing else.
And behind that curtain,
that's right.
Some lucky winner.
There's no free vacations, so this is the best we got.
So I hope that this helps to give a little more clarity to what is open source. Can you use it? I'm not looking by no means. Do not misunderstand me. I'm not looking to convert anyone, okay? But I would hope that when you guys leave here, you guys are more open-minded and more armed with the knowledge that if you come across a situation and you're thinking about purchasing something, you may want to try to look at the alternative and see how that goes. or if you have a student in your class who may benefit from this, I mean, if you love your Microsoft package, by all means, keep it. Don't give it up. But if you have a student who needs an office suite and doesn't have the funds to purchase one, this is a good alternative for them.
I'll even go a step further and say it a little more strongly. I think for my purposes, in education, as technology advances at this unbelievably exponential rate, in our country where we live, the digital divide here is growing as rapidly. We're losing parts of our population. We're losing our future, our youth. They're not getting access to the things that are going to make them successful in the workplace, in their careers. And it's not just work. I mean, what we do is our passions. It's the way we survive, right? It's the way we thrive. So when you look at open source alternatives, yes, if you like your Microsoft package, that's fine. But think of what it does to a kid to know that these kids who can afford commercial products use them. It's not so, we're not so affluent, we're not, you know, we're using the second-rate stuff, the open source. Well, I got news for you. The open source is not necessarily second-rate to the commercial products. Level that playing field. All the kids. Doesn't matter where they come from. They can all use open source stuff. So can all the teachers, right? So it's our responsibility. We can bring that divide and we can close it if we do things thoughtfully and meaningfully. So I think that's an important thing to think about as part of the education community. So Eddie gave you a more balanced response. I couldn't. So.
Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Schnackenberg and Eddie Vega for coming today and providing us such informative information and helping us really to reach each one of our students and to differentiate instruction so that all of our learners can access our curriculum. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
May I add just one little thing here? I think this group right here is a great way to start something. I mean, we're starting something here with PBS. So if you guys are want to try this out, by all means, feel free to call. You have tech support. You have the two of us up here. But you can also look around. There's some techies out in the audience as well. And the techies, please contact us. Let's see if we can get something started with PBS.
And we'd love to partner with you. We're going to offer this workshop on our website. So any ideas that you have for future website, for collaborations and professional development, we'd really love your input. And I do have more packets of information for those of you who did not get them when you came in.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Have a lovely
We appreciate
afternoon.
It was
Thank you,
great.
guys.